Hey YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to RANT, dropping a brand new VID for you today, and look at my face. Look at how happy I am. I haven't been this happy after a WWE pay-per-view in a long time. Oh wait, I just remembered why I was happy. Because this was not in fact a WWE pay-per-view, it was in fact NXT TakeOver London. Oh my god, this was an amazing show. The embodiment of every reason why I've been a wrestling fan for God knows how many years now. Everything that made wrestling good was on display in this show, which leaves me, of course, asking the head-scratching question, if they can do this with the developmental roster, why the hell can't they do it with the main one on Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views? Anyway, let's get it started. We start off with a Divas match. Asuka and Emma taking on each other. Dana Brooke was at ringside. Dana Brooke was a squawking parrot. However, the action in ring was good. I love watching Asuka wrestle. I really do. The fact that she doesn't speak much adds an air of mystery to the character. I like the Japanese style of wrestling. It's a lot more strike-based and submission, so you don't know whether this girl's going to knock you out or tie you into a pretzel. Just a lot of fun to watch. Good action. Emma really is a good wrestler. I like the way they retooled their character, although let's be honest, when your role on the main roster was Santino Marella's love interest, there wasn't anywhere to go but up. Was anyone really surprised when Emma got sent back down to NXT? When you come out to Bubbles and you do this to what quite possibly could be the most annoying Divas song ever. I'm not even gonna put it in the video because I don't want to get copyright claimed. But if you go look up Emulation, I believe is what it is. Go look that up, and yeah, you can't take that seriously, but you can now because this girl knows how to work it, man. She can wrestle. Winner goes to Asuka by knockout. Well, pinfall technically, but she knocked her out with a kick. So great way to start the night. All the matches on the card had a big fight feel to them. It was just a heck of an experience. It's always great when NXT goes outside of Full Sail Arena for two reasons. One, it's because it shows that there's a ravenous hunger for this brand and the action it produces all around the world. And also, it gives the performers of NXT a chance to perform in front of a much bigger crowd, as opposed to the 400 that fill the Full Sail Arena every week when it's on the network. And you really get a chance to see who shines. If you're an NXT talent that got brought to this pay-per-view, clearly you're doing something right with yourself. Next match. Scott Dawson and Dash Walder defend the NXT Championships versus Enzo Amore and Big Kaz. Look, I like these guys. I really do. I was speculative at first, but Enzo can make you money just by taking anything he says on the mic and turning it into a t-shirt. I'm sure the account execs at WWE are just salivating their little suits off. They can't wait to sink their teeth into that glorious merch money. And Big Kaz, that dude can kick ass. And he can move for a big man too. He might be the best young big man in the business right now. That having been said, if there's one detraction about the tag team in general, it's that they never give Enzo any sort of offense other than moving out of the way when someone charges at him and the jumping DDT that he does right before he makes the tag to Big Kaz to attempt to always save the day. Now look, Enzo may not be the best wrestler in the world. He's certainly not built like anything that's going to make you go, wow, this guy is going to be a fantastic wrestler. But that's what Kaz is for. These two hide each other's weaknesses, or help to hide each other's weakness. They are really the modern day equivalent to a New Age Outlaws type of tag team. you were really pulling for them because of the story that was told with Dawson and Wilder breaking Kaz's leg and threatening his wrestling career never to wrestle again. So you really got into the match. It was emotionally charged. It was fantastic. I was absolutely gutted when Enzo and Kaz didn't win. But at the same token, I have to give credit to Dawson and Walder. They're a fantastic tag team. And just out of sheer acknowledgement, if anyone out there is training to be a tag team wrestler or wants to get into wrestling and wants to start at the tag team level, you should really invest in watching how Dawson and Wilder cut off the ring and their actions, and then tailor your style. If you're a babyface, clearly you don't want to do the underhanded things that they do, but really watch how they control a tag team match. This is a throwback to the old school way of things they're doing, and that's what the hardcore and, to a certain extent, the casual fans are ravenously calling for, that Triple H can hear and listen, but Vince McMahon is stubbornly annoying because, I know what works. Watch me, corn cob, walk my way down the hallway. Ow! Broke my quad again. That's how it always happens with that old man. It's like beating the head against the brick wall. I'm sure someone's come to Vince and said these same things, but because he's the boss, you know, he thinks he knows best. Vince, what you're doing isn't working. And it's not going to work unless you make some changes. And the person who's capable of making changes is the person you left in charge running NXT. That would be Triple H. He has the right idea. He has that promotion going in the right direction. Anyway, next match, because I don't want to call this a cool-down match because it was a good match in its own right, but it was a nice, let us simmer kind of match a little bit. Let us get off that emotional high we were on after the tag team title match. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. Kudos to Apollo Crews for helping to show that Baron Corbin can work for more than 2 minutes like he does on most NXT tapings. Good match. You know, both these guys kind of try to wrestle a power style. I do think that Apollo Crews is the more dynamic package. He certainly has every athletic blessing that you could want in a big man. As they say, he's a big man who's strong like a heavyweight but moves like a cruiserweight. That having been said, I'm really surprised that they let Baron Corbin go over because I truly believe that Crews is now the better talent. I know if you go back to my NXT versus MSG special, I was a little critical of the man, but he's really, now that I've really seen him work, he really is something special. The only reason I can think you would have Corbin go over Crews in this situation is that you want to keep the face-heel dynamic, and I'm guessing that Corbin will now be the next guy in line for Finn Balor's NXT title. But I'll cover that match in a second. Oh yeah, vague spoilers for that, but Finn Balor did win the NXT championship, but you know, you kind of expected that. On to the next match. We had the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley and Nia Jax. Bayley has really come a long way. You know, when I first saw her, she was that sweet, innocent girl who always got fooled by anyone who had any sort of trickery or deceit in them. You know, I may have lost, but I'll get you next time. You know, a lot of faces are going through that kind of mold, but to her credit, she's really shed it and really become the complete wrestler that she wanted to be. I saw that that the talent was there a couple months ago, but now it's really come full circle, and Bayley is ready. That having been said, she should stay right where she is on NXT because that is where women's wrestling is most prominent. If you go to the main roster right now, Bayley, you'll be treated as nothing but a joke, even if they decide to reunite the four horsewomen of wrestling, which isn't going to happen because Charlotte's too happy to pal around with her dad. But I talked about that in my last video, so that'd be just rehashing myself. Stay in NXT and continue to elevate the Divas Revolution there. Nia Jax. Oh boy. I often believe that there was a legitimate competition between Nia and Eva Marie to see which of us could actually be the worst female wrestler. I think it goes to Miss All Red Everything. That would be Eva Marie. And by the way, Miss All Red Everything, just so you know, they do make a pill or a cream of some sort that can take care of things if you actually are All Red Everything. Nia has charisma. She does. And I believe, given a little time to work on her mic skills further, and if Sarah Del Rey, the main trainer at NXT, would take the time to show her how to use the physical gift she does have, because she is big, she is strong, and yet she can move around the ring when necessary. There's something that could be there, but it's going to take a long time. Whereas Bayley needed just a little more polishing to get her to the level she is now, you've got a project here. This one's going to take some sculpting. Also, one piece of advice, Nia. I know it works for you because you're a bigger lady, but you should seriously consider dropping the leg drop from your repertoire, because you're not even getting as high as ancient Hulk Hogan can. You've done something incredibly wrong. Stop doing that unless you learn how to jump. But, kudos to Bayley for carrying Nia to what was her best match to date. I must admit, I did not expect Bayley to belly Nia. So, to her credit, she came up with a new way to beat someone with the, I'm calling it the triangle choke, but I think it's more of a guillotine style choke. It worked. It took 3 times to do it, which I really thought was perhaps a little too much, because let's face it, while every time that Nia countered that guillotine choke, Bayley ended up taking Nia's finisher. So technically she should have just went for the cover, but the script didn't tell her to do that. But that's the closest thing to bad booking we had. And it's not bad booking because you want Bayley to be the face of your NXT Divas division until the next great female wrestler comes along, or Nia is fully developed, or whoever is next in line. And there's always a lot of drama. I mean, Bayley is kind of every fan favorite rolled into one. Every good thing about a fan favorite wrestler, she's got it in spades, and she's spunky. I like that. The only other match to talk about, of course, is the NXT World Championship between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. I'm always a fan when Finn Balor comes out as the Demon, and now that I understand that you've saved Demon Balor specifically for your NXT pay-per-view events, that would be all NXT TakeOver, or anytime an NXT superstar would be on a big pay-per-view, it really makes Demon Balor something special. And I loved the addition of the Jack the Ripper silhouette / blood-curdling scream on the video wall. Fantastic touch. I love the attire. I love what they do with this character. And I also love the fact that, even though Samoa Joe is the heel, he is so well respected. People didn't care that Finn Balor and him were enemies. It rendered the whole Joe through this 10-year friendship storyline out the window because people were still cheering for Joe. And, the fantastic thing about Joe is if you've never been a wrestling fan, you've never seen Samoa Joe, and you took one look at him, you'd be like, there's no way this guy's actually an athlete. There's no way this guy can actually perform decently in the ring. He's too fat, he's too big, he's too this, he's too that. And yet you watch Samoa Joe and you go, my God, that man has amazing skill. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised that WWE allows NXT fans to chant, "Joe's gonna kill you" and "Asuka's gonna kill you." Both share that chant. In the current PG era, that's actually really refreshing. You know, how many times did I hear "This is awesome" in this match? And it really was. It was something incredibly special. I loved it. I don't have a bad thing to say. The only bad thing to say is the announcers were their usual horrible selves, except for Corey Graves, who at least can inject some kind of humor into it. And the only real screw up I saw, other than the lack of offense from Enzo that I talked about earlier, is when the announcers were thanking the people who provided their music. They were thanking Motorhead for Ace of Spades, but the CD cover for "It Could Have Been Me" was actually on display in the background. So someone either messed up their lines or someone in the truck just put up the wrong picture. But if I were to give this pay-per-view a rating by comparison to what I gave Survivor Series, this pay-per-view gets 4.5 stars out of 5. And like I said, the gripes I mentioned are really minor and nitpicky, but I gotta have something to talk about that I didn't like, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be much of a ranter. Anyway, this pay-per-view was fantastic. I'll probably watch it again. That's how good it was. Looking forward to this weekend, hoping to start the Rumble retrospective that I talked about with my buddy Mr. Rodriguez. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If you like it, don't be afraid to click that like button. It really helps a lot. It helps me get some more notice on YouTube. And of course, if you don't want to miss a video that the Wrestling Ranter put out, you can always click that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Ranter off the soapbox. Have a great night, everybody. Rich.